the Beretta M9A3. Let's check it out. Ever since I saw the movie Lethal Weapon, I have been in love with the Beretta Model 92. I mean, it's just a beautiful, sleek handgun. The Italian design is definitely something that's unique. And then, of course, in 1985, when the U.S. military adopted the Beretta as the M9, as their service sidearm, it's just proven itself to be a great firearm. It's very smooth shooting. It's a solid handgun. It's a full-size handgun, but at the range, the recoil reduction is just really nice. Of course, with the new MHS military trials where they adopted the SIG P320, Beretta did make a stab at coming in with the Beretta M9A3, and that's what we have here. And of course, they also introduced their Beretta APX. But this has a lot of great features that Beretta improved and changed to meet the MSH standards. But of course, it didn't win the contract. In fact, it was never even considered. But the great thing is Beretta now has offered their M9A3 version to the civilian market. And guys, there's a lot of cool features about this handgun that I like much more than the standard Beretta Model 92F or FS. And for that matter, the M9. And so Nate at GunProDeals.com got in touch with me and sent me this pistol for this test and evaluation, which I do appreciate their sponsorship, being able to get a lot of different firearms. And so we're going to take a good look at the Beretta M9A3. I've always had a soft spot for Beretta handguns. A lot of it has to do with just its unique look to it over a lot of different style handguns. The open slide design, which really helps with reliability. And just the smooth, clean lines that it has. It's a very sleek, smooth operating handgun. And that's whether it's the Model 950 Jetfire, of course, all the way up to some of their bigger models. And of course, Beretta now has introduced their APX, which is more of a striker fire pistol. But these are classics, and of course they've been used by the U.S. military since 1985, so that's a good number of years that this gun has seen service with the U.S. military. In fact, about over 30 years. And so, this has been a very proven design. Originally, there were some issues with slides cracking, and a lot of that had to do with the ammunition that was being fired through the handgun at the time. But really, overall, the Beretta M9 has proven itself to be a very reliable, good, solid handgun. First thing we're going to do is make sure we check to make sure the gun's unloaded, the magazine's empty, and the chamber is clear. One thing that they've changed with the new Beretta M9A3 is the magazine. And you can see it has kind of a metallic gray finish to it. This is a sand-resistant finish that, of course, having a lot of conflicts over, in the Middle East in areas where it's very arid and desert, that has become an issue. And this is one of the finishes that they've done to improve reliability. This is a 17-round magazine over the standard 15-round magazines that we've seen before. And with that, you get 3 magazines. These are loaded because we're getting ready to go to the range, but it has the polymer base plate, which is a sand color. And of course, that is another big thing with this handgun is the color scheme. With the FDE finish on the slide and on the grips, and yet it has kind of a tan bronze color, very light bronze color on the frame. So it gives it a very unique, nice two-tone look to it. Now, I've got the hammer back, and I'm going to show you one thing about the safety, which really the safety is like it's been with the FS model for a number of years. And that means when you bring down the safety lever, it drops the hammer, but then it remains in the safe position. So it's a dead trigger. And so if you want to fire it, you got to push the safety up. Now that's one thing that I have not liked about the Beretta, because you know I've done it before where I've decocked it, stuck it in my holster, pulled it out to fire it, and forgot to actually engage my safety or disengage my safety. And so that's definitely something that I have not liked, because I'm so used to shooting striker fire pistols. Now they do have the G model decocker, which is a decocker only. So when you bring it down, the lever just pops right back up, and so it's almost like a double action revolver. So you still have that long double action trigger pull, and yet it's safe to carry in that condition. One of the great things that Beretta has done is they're now offering the G model decocker. You can get a conversion kit, and I think they're about $55. There's a number of companies over the years that have been doing that, but Beretta now has, started offering those models. Now, one thing they've also done is to increase the angle to 15 degrees for the decocker or the safety. And one of the reasons for that is on the traditional models, you could grab the gun like this at the serrations and actually inadvertently, in the heat of the moment, engage your safety when you're pulling it down. And so that was definitely something they wanted to improve. So with this angle, it keeps you from doing that. The coating itself is somewhat of like a Cerakote type finish, but then the frame and some of the other parts are a beautiful anodized, in fact, it's probably a PVD coating, and it's into the metal. One thing though, to me, one of the biggest things to me is the improvement with the M9A3 is the Vertex style grip. You're getting this flat grip, whereas before you had the Beretta hump right here. This gets more in line with the 1911 angle. So any of your 1911s, this gives you more of a feel for it. Even though it's a little bit wider, it definitely is straight, and it's really more natural as far as pointing goes. Whereas with the hump, it does cant the grip just a little bit. And it matches the way you point your finger. So it's going to be a more natural way to pull the handgun up and fire. Now, one of the things about this handgun too is it has these really thin grips. So to me, the grip itself is completely changed with the Beretta M9A3. I mean, it is a much better for the guys with medium to small hands. Now, you may be saying, I like to have that hump. I have bigger hands. Well, they do also include one of the wraparound grips, and it replicates that hump at the back. And these are Hogue grips. They're the soft rubber grips. So this is going to give you a little more thickness, and it's still going to retain that hump. And so that's an option that comes with the pistol. And again, that's what made this modular as far as handgun sizes. And that's one of the reasons why these were introduced for the U.S. military trials, because they needed to have a different grip modularity. You know, a lot of people say that the insert that goes, the housing insert in the SIG P320, was the only modular handgun and the reason why it won. But that's not the case. It was actually because of the grips, making sure that they were modular. Another improvement of the grip is the checkering. And you can see it's not just the straight lines that come down, just like this Beretta. This is one of the 92Fs, but it just has the straight serrations, whereas this has the checkering, which is much more aggressive. I really like this much better. And then also, same thing on the front strap. Another major change is a threaded barrel. And this is Beretta made, so there's aftermarket barrels out there that have been threaded, but this is one that actually is made by Beretta. You will notice that there's an O-ring right here, and that seals that the thread protector to the threads. And in fact, they even send extras for you to put them on there if you need to, but of course that makes this suppressor ready, which is definitely a plus, especially in military applications. And of course, with the rise of suppressors being sold in the U.S., that's definitely something that's really nice to have. Also with the standard M1913 Picatinny rail and with the 3 slots. And so that's something that they did adopt with the M9 with the U.S. Marine Corps, but this is something they've added now that it makes this really versatile for lights and lasers. There's also an enlarged magazine release, which makes it really easy to get a hold of. I have to barely adjust my grip to be able to hit that mag release. They've also beveled the magazine well, which aids in mag reloads. And then of course we do have a lanyard loop right here that is removable. Now, tritium sights come with the M9A3. One big thing to note, though, is they've dovetailed the front sight. And that allows you to change this front sight out if you want to. With the traditional Berettas, it was a milled-in front sight. So that was your only option. You could still change out the back sight, but you couldn't change out the front sight unless you had that milled out. And then here, of course, at the back, we have a nice shelf to be able to do one-handed reloads if we need to on your belt, which I really like that feature, because one of the things about a gunfight is studies have shown that 80% of the gunshots will hit the extremities first. So if you have one arm, you're going to have a hard time reloading without this little cocking shelf. Now, the standard barrel for your Model 92 or the M9 was 4.9 inches. Here we have a 5.1 length because of your threaded barrel. Also, these are cold hammer forged. The Beretta barrels are excellent. In fact, Beretta quality is just top notch. They've been in business over 500 years, and as a gun company, and so they really have a long tradition of good quality. Now, the trigger has been improved as well, and it has one of the D-Series mainsprings. This is a little bit of a lighter mainspring. It makes the double and single action a little more crisp. So let's make sure the gun isn't loaded. We're going to check the trigger pull. Your double action, and this would be your first shot, really smooth. Starts to kind of get a little bit heavy and then a snap. That's much better than the standard double action trigger pull. It's a very smooth take up. In single action, we have that take up right to here and a nice snap. As far as reset, right there. It's audible and tactile. We're going to take our Lyman trigger pull gauge and we're going to check the trigger pull. These are available at Brownells. Double action, 8 pounds, 4.7 ounces. Single action, 4 pounds, 8.2 ounces. Now, the original trigger guard was kind of bowed out a little bit. With the new in fact, the M9's the same way. It's been more squared off. There's actually a little shelf that comes down. It kind of curves down. This is not serrated like it is on the original, because that used to be the doctrine, people wrapping their fingers around the trigger guard, but that's kind of gone away. Now, between the M9A3 and the standard M9 or Beretta 92 FS, the parts are pretty much interchangeable. It's some of the differences to the frames and things like that that are not part specific. And so that's one of the things that Beretta was really attempting to do, is to retrofit a lot of the original pistols and upgrade them to the M9. Of course, one of the big problems would have been is on the frames of the older pistols, they still have that hump, and here you don't have it. Now you can see the magazine release does stick out a little bit. This can be switched to the other side. In fact, I did a video switching the mag release. It's not a big deal. As far as switching out to your G model decocker, that can be a little bit of an issue, especially with the springs and everything. But I'll tell you this, I will be changing this out for the G model. Now, one thing I did notice about the Cerakote on here is a little bit tighter than a lot of Berettas, but still I think it's going to wear in pretty easily. Now we're going to bring back and engage our slide stop, and here it is. It's a nice lever. It's really easy to get a hold of. If you want to drop the slide, you can pretty easily. And it comes together just like this on the traditional 92, and you can kind of do press checks. One of the things about this open top barrel is that it makes it more reliable. You don't have to worry about as many stovepipes and things like that, because there's no hood right here over the top of the slide, and that's one of the appeals of the Beretta. I want to thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the 9mm ammunition. Not only their new manufactured 115 grain, but also their Pro Match 135 grain XAP rounds. We're going to do a little bit of testing. At the range, we put 500 rounds through the pistol with no malfunctions, which I was expecting from the Beretta. I mean, it's just a smooth shooting firearm. The cycling is just really nice. I mean, it just has that really smooth finish, which is typical for your Beretta 92s. Of course, all the controls are very familiar, but yet they're updated. You know, that angle on the decocker, it didn't take away from decocking the pistol. The mag release, definitely a plus, just a little bit bigger than your standard. The trigger pull, though, was a beautiful thing. I mean, the trigger pull is much nicer. It's very smooth, even double action, very smooth. But of course, the big coup for this pistol is its grip. And with that Vertex style grip, it's just flat, and it reminds me of shooting a 1911, which I'm sure you've heard a number of times. That straight back, it just naturally points, it naturally shoots. With those serrations on the front and back, you feel like you've got a little better grip on the pistol as well. I love the color. That has nothing to do with shooting it here at the range, but the color is really just nice. And overall, this pistol just shoots very smooth. And if you've never shot a Beretta 92 at all, I highly recommend it because they are smooth shooting handguns. And one of the reasons why they've been the U.S. military sidearm for over 30 years. Now for disassembly, let's make sure the gun is unloaded, there's no magazine. Take right here this little button and push it in while you're bringing your lever, your takedown lever down. You don't have to pull the trigger on these to disassemble. And we have a polymer guide rod, and then we have, of course, a steel recoil spring. Then we have our barrel, and it's locked up right here. Let's go, there we go, pull it right out. You do have this locking block design, very reminiscent of the original Walther P38s. And this keeps the barrel, though, completely in a horizontal position. It doesn't tilt the barrel. So it goes away from the old Browning design. And if you'll notice in the top of the slide right here, these slots are where these locking lugs lock into place. Over the years, there have been some improvements to the locking lugs to make them a little more durable for the U.S. Army, but these have held up very well. And of course, the inside of the gun, the finish is just impeccable. I love this color. I mean, this is a beautiful color. And that's all you need to do to field strip the pistol. To reassemble, just in reverse order. Get your barrel in place. Sometimes the guide rod can be a little tricky to get it just lined up just right because the barrel wants to move forward. There we go. Your frame. Notice those rails. You got rails here, here, and at the back. It's going to give you a good solid lockup. Bring back the slide and engage your slide stop, and then just hit the lever and release the slide stop, and you're good to go. Now with a dummy round in the chamber, we're going to check the loaded chamber indicator. You can see right here that it's a little bit red. It comes up just a touch, and then of course, and then after the round is expended, you can see that it kind of flattens out. Honestly, guys, it's very minimal. It's hard to tell, but there it is. And the weight on the Beretta M9A3, 2 pounds, 0.6 ounces. Now the Beretta M9 comes in this outer box, but the actual gun box is a pretty cool setup. And so when you open the box, the pistol comes packed in close foam padding. It's a really nice little case. In fact, it even has a gasket that goes around it to keep this waterproof. Then you have your two 17-round magazines. Also, we have the larger grip, again from Hogue, and you get a lock for the gun. Also, all your paperwork is also in here, and an M9A3 sticker. It also comes with the O-rings for your thread protector. Now, the manufacturer suggested retail price on the Beretta M9A3 is $1,027. On GunProDeals, it's coming in at $862, which is a significant savings. As far as pros and cons of the Beretta M9A3, the pros, we pretty much just went over the pros. I mean, it's the better grip, much smaller, yet if you want a larger grip, you can come in with the Hogue grip. The angle of the decocker safety is at a 15-degree angle, which makes it nice. You do have a threaded barrel. You've got 3 slots on your Picatinny rail. The trigger pull has been improved with the D-Series mainspring. You do have your 17-in-1 magazines, which trumps the 15-in-1, which you can still get 15s, you can still get 10-round magazines. And this works with any of your different Beretta magazines. This PVD finish on here is an improvement, especially, you know, in sandy conditions, which can happen anywhere. The beveled magwell is also nice, and to me, the sights are a vast improvement over the originals. As far as cons go, of course, the price, it is pricey. You know, they run about $1,000 like we've talked about. But one of the things about that is a lot of the features that go into this pistol, and Berettas have never been just super cheap. I mean, they command a high price because it's good quality. Also, as far as a concealed carry, it's going to be a little bit of a large pistol for that. It's great for home defense, great as a sidearm, service sidearm, great for, you know, if you're open carrying. But it's definitely a larger, heavier handgun than a lot of the polymer striker fire options out there. And that's one of the reasons too why the price is a little bit more expensive, because of the mechanism that goes into making a double single action hammerfire pistol. It's just more expensive to produce. But overall, I would have to give this gun, guys, I'm telling you, a 9.5 out of 10. You know, if you want to conceal carry, you need to pick another pistol. But as far as the features and the upgrades they've made over the standard Beretta Model 92, I think that this is a much better option, if nothing else, for the grip, but then all the extra features, it's just like gravy on top. I mean, this is, to me, really the pinnacle of the Beretta 92 system. Now, a lot of guys have argued that the Beretta M9 should have remained in U.S. service as their sidearm. I think that one of the reasons why they wanted to go ahead and step out away from the double single action aluminum frame pistol was because the technology has just moved on to a polymer striker fire pistol. And of course, that's my opinion. There are a lot of opposing opinions to that. And again, I want to thank Nate at GunProDeals for sending the Beretta M9A3 for this test and evaluation. It's really great to be able to get different firearms to bring to you guys and not be beholden to any particular gun company. And again, I want to thank them for their sponsorship. Go by and check out GunProDeals. They have some really great prices. And also get on their mailing list. They do a ton of different giveaways and they have a lot of specials. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. This is raised, so it makes it great for slide manipulations, one-handed with the standard barrel for your M9. It is kind of even though it's polymer, it's a fluted guide rod. Well, and get on their mailing list. They are doing a lot of giveaways. What was that? Because we all know that Italians are lovers and not fighters.
Have you seen Luigi? How about Mario?